Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition, and today we are going to talk about judgment and how we're showing up to realities. Now, judgment is a sticking point in a sense. It can be one of the last things that goes for us, right? When we start clearing a lot of our emotions, a lot of our attachments, judgment is one of the last emotions that we kind of clear, right? And even when we clear it, so it's not taking up 99% of our day in a sense, we still have it trapped in our cellular body. So until the collectives clear judgment completely, we're still going to have a piece of that. So judgment is that one thing that we can kind of always go back to, and we can even feel like we're in some of our highest aspects of ourselves and showing up from our highest place and still be in judgment. Judgment of ourselves, judgment of other people, but we really can't judge people unless we hold judgment. So if we're still judging people, we know we still hold judgment somewhere. So look at when you're showing up and look at when you can show up in a reality with no judgment, right? Are you showing up to judge, or are you showing up with no judgment? It's kind of like, are you showing up with compassion, or are you showing up with pity? Those are two completely different energetic reasons, different emotions and different energies to start anything with. So compassion and pity, if we start weighing those out, you can kind of start to feel the difference. But with pity, there's a judgment with pity. It's kind of like compassion, but there's a judgment there, right? So then you have that, and then that kind of can go into pity energy. Judgment can kind of shift anything that you feel is in its highest place into something else, because judgment takes us into how we look at ourselves and how we view everything. Even in different, when we're starting our ascension process and we're going through different stages of ascension, we can see all along the way how we'll go through a period where we feel special, right? And because we never do feel special in our human existences. So when we hit being able to do certain things, being able to hit different consciousnesses, different anchor in different things, we have our superpowers come through, we feel special, and we can start judging those things. Other people will judge them, but other people can only judge them if we judge ourselves, because people speak that stuff back to us. So if you ever feel like you're being judged, remember that if it hits you, it's just your own judgment of yourself. If you don't hold judgment, technically you can't be judged, and it won't bother you anymore. So just keep in mind that that's our own judgment. A lot of things we won't do, a lot of realities we won't do, because we're judging how it's going to be received. A lot of times we won't speak up because we don't want to. We are judging how it's going to be received. Fourth dimension, we talked yesterday on one of the video, and it's probably when this comes out, it won't be yesterday, but I'm shooting a couple today. So when we talk about fourth dimension reality, 1 foot in human realities, 1 foot in higher realities, 1 foot in 3D, 1 foot in 5D, which 5D is just the start. It's not the end. People think that's the end. That's just the beginning. In 5D, you haven't really started doing anything. You haven't started anchoring in the higher realities. You're just starting to feel some of the feelings of the higher realities. You're kind of floating around, but you can't anchor anything in that floating phase. But you have a lot of judgment there. You have a lot of judgment of yourself. You have a lot of judgment of what's going on. So you find everyone else is judging you too, but that's just kind of mirroring back how much judgment you're holding in yourself. And you'll notice, as long as you keep going through different realities, you're gonna see that your judgment gets less and less. Unless you hit, there might be certain realities that brings a lot of it up, but it's just trying to clear out more of it. We're always going deeper into the judgment within ourselves to clear out more. So you'll find for a while, you won't be feeling all that judgment you felt before. And you think, oh, people just don't judge me anymore. No, you're not judging yourself as harshly anymore. So the outside world's not going to judge you as harshly, because it's always a mirror effect. Your inside is just projecting out outside to see. If you're fully judging people and fully getting judged, you're holding a lot of judgment. As that starts moving out of your energy field, starts moving out of the cellular body, you're going to find out that all of a sudden people aren't judging me as much. People are a little more supportive on that. And it might feel very incremental, it might not feel like all of a sudden. And you still might get to some realities, especially when money's involved. Money's a big judgment, right? If money's involved and how we judge how we show up to reality. In the human realities, if you don't have money to contribute, your contribution is kind of less than someone else's. So there's a lot of times that we're going to go through that. We're going to see that quite a bit, where our contribution is going to be less and less and less and less if we don't have money involved in it. So we have to work through all that and understanding that money is not the only thing that of value you can bring to a reality. So you will go through certain realities you're in that's going to bring up more of that judgment. It's kind of like we talked before about, we kind of go deeper in. So if you're not getting judged over this anymore, you have no judgment over this. What about this? Do you feel judgment over that? To keep clearing it out until you feel no judgment over any of it. But it's still going to be somewhere trapped in the body a little bit until the collective's moving along. So just know that a lot of these processes, a lot of our complete clearings can't be complete until the collectives start to clear it. And they completely clear it in a sense. So you're always going to have, like, even if it's just like a teeny tiny bit there. So when you do kind of feel that come up, just be aware of, one, look at how far you've come with that. Because judgment's a big one. It is a very deep program. It's rooted in kind of everything we do. So kind of pat yourself on the back on how far you've come, and you'll be able to see how far you've come based on how your interactions are with other people. And you can look at where you're still judging yourself, where you don't want to do that thing. You don't want to put out that kind of content, or you don't want to take that job, or you don't want to move out of that area because you have all this judgment around it. What you're doing, what you're bringing to a reality. Because we can't technically show up as our higher selves if we are bringing judgment to the table at all. We can't show up in a reality as the highest parts of us if we're judging the people that are there, or if we're judging ourselves. We can't bring judgment there. We have to show up. Humans bring judgment. That's what humans bring. And when we're human, we want people to bring judgment in a sense. That's why we're calling them to ask them a question. We want to hear that judgment because we don't realize it at the time, but it's just kind of our judgment of ourselves in a sense. So humans will always bring judgment on everything. We have to show up in not bringing judgment, just bringing support. And there can be a while before we can really get there. And it doesn't matter what the other person, the story is, the story we still have about what the other person has done or did, doesn't matter. There can be no judgment when we show up. And if we have any, we have to work through that before we can show up in a reality. Or when it props up, if it comes in while you're actually having the reality, just know it's coming up for you to see it so you can clear it. Judgment will be one of the last things to go because it's so ingrained. So just notice when you're doing it, clear it as you go, and keep practicing the art of intuition. And don't judge the judgment that you have, because that's another cycle we get into.